You will not create a new reality with an old identity. This episode explores how identity lag keeps entrepreneurs stuck, repeating old patterns with new opportunities, and how to bridge that gap through self-awareness and alignment. Let's go ahead and get to it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum Podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean, and today we're unpacking a powerful truth. The truth that your past version, who you used to be, is often the biggest obstacle between where you are and the new reality you want to build, your next level. The truth is you evolved, but your identity hasn't quite caught up yet. And I want to help you fix that. So let's go ahead and do that. One of the first things we need to do to fix that is to define this thing called identity lag. It's when your beliefs, your habits, and your self-image haven't quite caught up to, and they don't quite match your new reality. So an example of this is you're still thinking like an employee, yet you're trying to build a huge business. Thinking like an employee is not going to work in this business realm, in this entrepreneurial realm, because as an employee, you typically get paid off of the time spent versus the result that you've created, right? Versus the result that you've gotten or created for this company. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you get paid on results. It doesn't matter how much time you put in. You could put in 50 hours a week, 80 hours a week. You're not getting paid on that unless those are activities that are going to give you a result and generate some revenue. So if you're thinking like an employee while you're trying to build a big business, it's not going to work. There's an identity lag there. You want to build this thing huge. You want to build an empire, but you're thinking like an employee who shows up 8 to 4, and then as soon as 4 o'clock hits, they leave. And they want to make sure they take their 2 weeks vacation and so on and so on. And then they fight for more, but they're not really bringing in results oftentimes. They're more so just putting in time. That's an identity lag. It doesn't work. I know at one point early in my career for business, I thought similarly to this without realizing it. It was a subconscious thing because I was an employee for so long and it's all I knew and was taught. Become an employee, get a good job and stay in it for 40 years or whatever the case is, which is no longer going to work. But that's what I was taught. So when it came to business, I was like, okay, great. I just got to show up and put in time and effort and we'll get results. No, that's not how it works. You got to put in time and effort on the right things to bring the result, and then you will get paid. That's the way it works. So I had to kind of correct that and start working on the activities that are going to pay me. I had to prioritize. Point number 2 to this is the comfort trap. And your ego will often protect what's familiar. That's why one of the reasons they say the comfort zone, right? You want to stay where you are because that's familiar and that's where you feel comfortable. However, that growth zone is where true growth happens, of course, but it's limiting when we want to stay in what's familiar. If we stay in what's familiar, we cannot create that life we want to create because we're only staying with what we know. If you stay with what you know, you will not grow and you will not create that new reality because what you know and what you've been doing has gotten you to where you are. If you want to end up somewhere different, you've got to do something different. But I sympathize with this. I understand. Again, I'm human as well. And the reason why this is important is because growth feels like loss when your old identity was tied to your safety, right? Staying in that comfort zone. When your old identity was tied to that comfort zone into doing what you used to do, it's difficult to break out of that. But again, there is a way to do it, and we have to do it if we really want to elevate and change our lives in the way we say we want to change it. So here are some signs that you're in identity lag, because we have identified what identity lag is. Now we need to, how do we know if we're in identity lag? Well, if you second guess opportunities that you've prayed for, you're in identity lag. You prayed for this opportunity or these opportunities, but you're still stuck on who you used to be. They say if you're holding on to something, you cannot grab something new because your hand is closed. You have to let go of that thing so that you can receive the new opportunity, the new blessing, the new gift. But if we're so stuck on who we used to be, we cannot, and doing the old habits and with the old thinking, with the old day-to-day routine, we will not be able to move on to who we want to be and who we're aiming to be. So what shifts do you need to make to become this new person? And I've had to ask myself this question many times, and I still do today. And I realized, okay, certain things fit and certain things don't fit. Certain people that I talk to, they fit and they don't fit. I got to change certain things in environments, things that I'm doing, habits. I just moved out to a whole new province. I drove 33 hours from where I was across Canada, and now I'm in a new province. That is in alignment with who I am aiming to be in the new reality I want to create for myself. I had to drop the old to move on to the new. Was it scary? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it whatever. Yes, but here I am. I did it anyway. And that's exactly what we have to do, is break that old mold. Because if we don't break that old mold, we will stay where we were. We will stay doing what we were doing and stay in that old identity, not creating that new identity for ourselves. Another example to know that you're in identity lag is you downplay your growth to fit into old environments. You used to do that thing. You no longer do that. When your friends who you used to hang out and do that thing with ask you to go do that thing, you might still go along, but you don't have to. You know you don't want to do that anymore, so you can just say, listen, I don't want to do that anymore. I no longer do that. I'm not the person who used to do that thing. I'm a different version of myself. However you want to phrase it, of course, but accept this new version of yourself. Accept your growth. Because if you don't, again, you're probably in identity lag. You're mentally in transition, but emotionally you're still attached. That's another way to know that you're in this thing called identity lag. You're mentally in transition. You're thinking about this new thing. You're starting to think differently. You're kind of playing with your thoughts and massaging them out. But emotionally, you're still attached to that old thing, that old being, that old comfort that you used to go after. As a subscriber to this podcast or a listener to this podcast, I want to give you $30. How am I going to do that? Enter Rakuten. Rakuten is a platform where you can find deals of the week. And on here, it doesn't matter if you're looking for clothes, doesn't matter if you're looking for electronics, services, food, you can get cash back. $30 cash back, rather 30%. 20%, 4%. You can get Dyson Yeti. I know a lot of us need to file our taxes. Those of us who are late, you can use Intuit TurboTax to file your taxes. Ancestry. There are deals upon deals on here. And here's how it's going to work. I refer you. You click the link in the description. You spend $30 on this platform. Guess what? We both get $30 back. Sounds like a win-win deal, doesn't it? Go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself your $30. So how do you really evolve your identity? Audit your language. This is a big one. This is a huge one. Audit your language. I couldn't tell you how many clients I sit with, my coaching clients, how many people I talk to on a regular basis. And there's certain language that is often used where I correct it as best I can, of course. Even myself in the past, when I was a lot younger, I used to say certain words. And now when I hear those words, I'm like, what? You're what? How? I don't understand. Like, I don't even want to say those words here, but as an example, stop saying I'm trying to, because if you have two perfectly good working legs, let's say, and you can walk, try to walk. There's no trying. You're just going to do. There's no trying. There's forget it. Instead of saying I'm trying, I'm becoming, I'm doing. That's what we want to work on. That's what we want to say. Your language is important. Even this whole thing of, I don't even like to say it, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. No, forget it. Yes, you might feel okay, sure, but so what? You'll sleep tonight. You'll be fine. Get up and go do the thing that you said you wanted to do. Spend an extra hour or two doing it, and you'll still sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and everything will be fine. And you'll be further along. You'll feel better about it. Upgrade your environment. Proximity reinforces identity. Who you speak with the most enforces your identity, enforces who you are, the thoughts you have, the things you do. So if you are not surrounding yourself with the right people, the right environment, even your surroundings, forget about people. How is your environment set up? Is it messy? Because a cluttered area, they say, is a cluttered mind. When everything is organized, you have an organized mind. That's what they used to say. It's been a long time since you've heard that saying. However, we need to make sure that our environment is set up the way we want it to be for that next version of ourselves, the new level we're reaching towards. Yes, I'm talking about physical things in terms of how things are set up and messy or organized or so on, but the people in your circle are so important. If you realize there's certain things, it doesn't matter if you grew up with them. It does not matter. Doesn't matter if you have known this person for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It doesn't matter. If they are saying things or doing things that are not in alignment with who you are aiming to become, or they're taking time away or energy away from you consistently, you need to rethink that relationship and how you approach that relationship. I'm not saying to drop the person, you can, but rethink how you approach this, how much time you give it, how much energy you give it. Because there's certain relationships in my life where I'm like, okay, these people, no, it's not going to happen like that anymore. I'm cutting you off at a certain time frame. Because I've seen what's been happening over decades, and I need to finally accept that my time is important and valuable. My energy is important and valuable. If I spend so much time over here with these people, I am taking away from my future self and the person I'm aiming to becoming. I could get there a lot faster if I stopped giving my time, energy, and effort to these people so frequently. So where in your life do you need to change that environment? The people you're around, your physical environment. Again, I told you I moved to a new province. It's 33-hour drive. I'm in a different environment completely. So where do you need to make a shift? Maybe not as radical as that, but where do you need to make a shift in your life? One more point on how to evolve your identity. Create micro daily proof. If you schedule it out, put in daily proof, activities that you know you did this thing, it's helping you to become who you're aiming to be. Actions that confirm who you're becoming. Because doing it that way, we know our target, but having that reinforcement to say, okay, Kadeem, you're making progress. You're doing this thing like you said you wanted to do for yourself, never mind others. But you are going to the gym every day. You are reading every day. You are working on your business daily. You are speaking to the people in your circle who you love the most, who you're connecting with them and make sure they're okay. You're checking in regularly. Maybe not every day, but at least once, twice a week, you're checking in with them to make sure they're all good. Whatever it might be for you, put in those micro proof daily, right? Put that in daily, because if you do that, then it's going to reinforce that drive, motivation, and discipline to keep going with this new identity, the steps you're taking to become this new version of yourself. So the key takeaway from this episode here is you don't just outgrow people, you outgrow previous versions of yourself. When your identity catches up to your vision, alignment becomes effortless and progress becomes natural. We need to make sure we are in alignment, because that's when it will feel natural. That's when we'll feel like I need to get up and go do this thing. No matter what, come hell or high water, I got to get this thing done today. And that's when we know we've snapped, if you will. We've hit a breaking point and we are on our way to this new version of ourselves, and no one and nothing is going to stop us from making this habit become a reality and making that next version of ourselves become a reality. All right. So if you want help on becoming the next version of yourself, if you want to sit down and become clear on things and work with somebody as an accountability partner and help somebody who can see the blind spots and really show you what needs to be done and help you to form your plan, go ahead and click that link in the description to get my one-on-one consultation, self-mastery. I want to help you become the next version of yourself. And right now there's a discount going on, so you can click it to see what's going on there. Save a little bit of money, but also get that service you're looking for. All right, Kadeem here, and I'll see you in the next one.